Hello, everyone. This is Eric with Chris from potstocks.com. It is July 4th. First and foremost, we want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day and 4th of July. In full disclosure, we wanted to address our recent absence. We have taken a small amount of time off because we have been working with MJIC Media on several projects, one of which is the acquisition of the Marijuana Index. Chris, give us a little bit of information about the index.
Right. So the Marijuana Index is back up and running again, and it's basically it's a news and data aggregator for stocks in the industry. And if you go to marijuanaindex.com, you can take a look right now. There's a few different indices you can follow. There's U.S. reporting, U.S. non-reporting, Canadian, and global, which has all the stocks on it. And it's a really great resource. Highly recommend signing on for their daily newsletter. And additionally, if you're a public company that isn't on the index and you want to get on the index, get in contact with info@marijuanaindex.com, and they'll take care of you. There's a basic subscription plan in place now. It's like super affordable, especially for public companies. And if you're public and you're in the industry, I really don't think you can afford to not be on the index. So that's that.
Excellent. Everybody head on over there and check that out right now. Let's get into some news. This week, July 1st specifically, Oregon became the latest state with full recreational legalization. Chris, it's obviously a big move forward as more states are coming online and coming on board and falling in line with this. So as somebody that's looking to move there, what do you think?
Yeah, this week was super interesting, particularly because the House voted to speed up the recreational sales process, and that's actually going to start on October 1st now. And they announced that just yesterday, so that's really exciting news. I'm a little bit torn about it though, because I'm trying to buy a house up there, and I hope the property values don't spike all of a sudden. But no, we're also going to the Cannabis Creative Conference in Portland at the end of the month. That's the 28th, 29th, and 30th. On the 28th, there's a little marijuana investor summit boot camp, kind of as a bookend to the conference there. So that should be really interesting. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody up in that region that's in the industry. But, I really do think Oregon is the next big market. They've been really simplifying the tax process and embracing the business community and listening to the medical community at the same time about how best to implement everything. And, so I think they're kind of learning lessons from the other states, and I think they'll have a successful rollout.
Yeah, Oregon seems to have learned from the mistakes of the past and really implemented themselves and put themselves in a good position to be a much smoother process than some of the other states that have already come on board, obviously having taken a look at what's happened before them. So moving forward, actually, into more good news from states being progressive with marijuana laws, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal has signed into a bill into law that will give state residents of Louisiana access to medical marijuana. So yet another state moving forward with that, and it seems to be gaining some serious momentum. So Bobby Jindal obviously being pretty big in the news recently for his presidential aspirations and his general conservatism. So, Chris, give us a little bit of information here.
Right. The Louisiana law is kind of interesting because they actually passed one in the 1990s that kind of legalized medical marijuana, but they didn't go that extra step to regulate how that was going to work. So basically, there was no way to actually obtain it. So it effectively just kind of blocked it. But anyway, at this point, they're going to regulate it through I think it's the Louisiana Pharmacy Board. And that's really good news for the bigger picture. I feel like if even Governor Jindal, as crazy conservative as he is, can get behind it, I think we're really approaching some sort of legislative tipping point. I think next year we're going to see probably some major federal action on this.
Yeah, as we discussed before, I think a lot of people in the industry think that there is a critical mass. Don't know necessarily where it is, but as soon as we hit whatever it is, that everything else will fall in the line. And Louisiana, I think, is a huge step forward. The more stuff that you can kind of spike into the heart of conservatism, I think the dominoes will begin to fall faster. Personally. So, all right, let's move on to some stock news. Last week, Tweed, that is TWD, has agreed to acquire all outstanding shares of Bedrocan Canada, BED. The deal is valued at about $60 million. Notable is that the deal is very friendly, with the two companies essentially combining their might. Tweed is the largest individual producer and biggest consumer brand in the country, annexing Bedrocan's well-known pharmaceutical-grade products and regimented grow processes. Chris, can you give us some more information?
Yeah, this is a huge deal for the Canadian market. These two are definitely the biggest and best companies in the public sector for Canada. So once this deal is closed in August, Tweed is expected to have about 25% of the total market share in the entire Canadian medical marijuana market. So their stock only jumped about 20 cents on the news last week. But I think there's definitely still room for like a lot of upside in this. So, traders, look out. And if you're a long-term investor, I mean, this is one of those ones that like there's very few long-term investments in the industry right now that I think are worth second looks. But this could definitely be one of them.
Yeah, it's the two powerhouse companies, always a good thing to keep your eye on. So moving forward, Mary Jane Group, MJMJ, has announced growth with their popular bud and breakfast brand with a newly leased hotel in San Ire, Colorado. It is a contemporary boutique-inspired former motel property. We've touched on this subject a couple times, specifically with MJMJ and the concept in general, but Chris, give us a little more insight for it.
Yeah, so we covered this a couple weeks ago when they kind of announced it, and now they just closed their lease on it. So from a trading perspective, it's kind of typical from what we're seeing in companies in the OTC, where they're doing a ton of acquisitions, but it's not like a lot of revenue generation yet. And I know MJMJ reported like a lot of bookings, which in theory translates to revenue for this year and into next year. But as an investor, I guess I get worried when I see rapid fire acquisitions because they're using like convertible notes and things that aren't great for short term share price. And, in the long term, arguably, sure, it'll be great, but we'll live in the short term. So
they're also spearheading this sort of industry, as when we touched on it a couple weeks ago, we went over the fact that there really isn't anything else like this out there. So while there may be a lot of initial bookings and stuff, we really don't know what the sustainability is, and that can be an issue moving forward as well. So something to keep an eye on, though. All right, last up for this week, let's take a look at Chris's stocks for the coming week.
Yeah, so there's a few interesting trades next week. The one I'm going to be keeping an eye on the most is CBNT, and it's Cabinet Grow. They were just issued the symbol this week from FINRA, and they're a U.S. non-reporting stock right now, and there's not a ton of information on them out there. It looks like the float's about 33 million, trading at 3.5 cents. And I can't really recommend one way or the other just yet, but since it's a new ticker, definitely add it to your watch list and keep an eye on it. Let's see, next, I like North American Cannabis Holdings, USMJ. It's had really good volume for the last week. And I think largely because it's relatively new, it's cheap ticker, and those tend to get some attention in the sector whenever they kind of premiere. So short-term swing trades on that one. Don't stick around for longer than you need to make money. And then MCPI. This is an Oregon-based reporting stock. I'm curious to see if it gets any movement from the Oregon's accelerated recreational sales as a catalyst. But on the technical side, I don't know that it looks like it's going much higher without a big spike in volume. So similar with Kays, actually, KAYS. It's another Oregon-based stock, and I'd say it looks like they're also heading downhill. So there could be some catalysts there if enough traders pick up the news and are interested in those Oregon plays. But keep them on your watch list, and if the volume picks up, then it could be a good play.
Excellent. Well, everybody, that's going to do it for us. I'm Eric. That is Chris with potstocks.com. Everybody head on over to potstocks.com. Check out our web forums, generate some discussion threads, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out all of the content that we've got. Plenty of interviews, plenty of webcasts. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Have an awesome day. Stay in the green.